Welcome back to Mental Health Awareness. In part one, we talked about mental health. In part two, we identified supports and resources. Now in part three, we will address stigma and mental wellness. It's hard to talk about mental health without acknowledging the stigma of mental illness. Let's start with a short video created by the Children's Hospital Colorado called Break the Stigma.
You know that feeling where your thoughts scare you or make life tough? Sometimes it feels like no one else in the world has those thoughts or feelings. No one seems to know how difficult it is to deal with your feelings. And it's not easy to share your deepest secrets. You might think something is wrong with you. Or you might worry what other people think. And all of that makes your thoughts and feelings worse. Our culture has created this environment of shame. Until the 1960s, society sent people away if they had challenges managing their thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. Over time, we learned that we didn't have to be afraid. We learned how to help people get better. We became hopeful. But there are remnants of those images in our culture today, which is why some people still feel uncomfortable talking about it. The stigma has taken new forms too. With more access to more people all the time, it can seem like the world is telling us it's not okay to be anything but perfect. The truth is, everyone has thoughts or feelings that can be hard to deal with. So why do we make it so difficult on ourselves by judging others who could be going through the same challenges we are? What if, instead of seeing labels, we saw people who are struggling and could be there for them so they didn't feel so alone? What if we looked past our fear of mental health and started to talk about it in a constructive way? What if, as a society, we used empowering words and healthy images to help people feel supported? Maybe then more of us could feel comfortable telling others when we're having a hard time. Maybe more people would get the help they need. And maybe one day we won't have to talk separately about mental health and physical health, but just health. The truth is, each of us has the power to change our culture. Will you join us? Share this video with a kid, your neighbor, a friend, and help us break the stigma of mental health.
So what is stigma? Stigma is a negative and often unfair social attitude attached to a person or group, often placing shame on them for a perceived deficiency or difference to a person's own thoughts, beliefs, or opinions. Stigma often comes from a place of ignorance or lack of understanding. Mental health stigma refers to a negative view and/or when society places shame on people who live with a mental illness. Mental illness should not be viewed as a fault. Stigma can prevent people from seeking help for mental health concerns. Unfortunately, negative attitudes and beliefs toward people with a mental health condition are common. Think of some of the terms or phrases that come to mind about people with mental illness. Maybe you have thought them yourself, or maybe you heard them from other people. But such phrases might include crazy, nuts, psycho, or sicko. Understanding stigma can help combat stigma. Upwards of 40% of those with mental health concerns do not seek help due to stigma, and that's really a shame. So how should we address stigma? I would say start with yourself. What can you do to reduce the stigma of mental health? Educate yourself about mental illness. Whether it's the students you work with, family members, friends, or even yourself, educate yourself. That's the start. Be aware of your own attitudes, behaviors, and judgments. If you find yourself doing any of these things, please stop and think about it. Choose your words carefully because what you say matters. People with mental illness should be referred to in such a way, with the person first. Remember, they are not their illness. We often say a person with mental illness or a student with ADHD. Always use those person-first statements. Challenge myths and stereotypes. Myths such as people with mental illness are crazy or dangerous. Those type of myths need to be challenged. Educate others by passing on facts and a positive outlook. Remember, we said several times, recovery is possible with supports and the right treatment. Support others using dignity and respect. And do not be ashamed to seek help for yourself or for others. That's really the most important thing about combating stigma. Don't be ashamed to get help. There are positive aspects of facing mental health challenges and the difficulty during adolescence. Most youth are resilient and come out the other end relatively well. The challenges can build strength and character, even enhance coping skills and problem-solving skills. Resiliency is the ability to bounce back from stress, adversity, failure, challenges, or even trauma. I'm sure you have faced your own challenges and stressors in life that have helped you grow and learn in order to make positive changes. Some ways to enhance resiliency for our students include encouraging positive relationships, especially with at least one adult. We as adults should model pro-social interactions and appropriate social and emotional control, including on social media platforms. Remember, youth see what you post also. If we want our youth to behave better, we need to show it in our actions, our words, and our modeling. Encourage exercise, self-care, and daily routine. Even sleep patterns, eating patterns, and just healthy day-to-day living can increase resiliency. Encourage being mindful and using positive coping strategies when stress is involved. Again, I go back to emotional regulation and problem-solving skills because this is so important. Teaching our kids how to use anger management, coping skills, frustration tolerance. And also encouraging family and community connectedness. All of these factors can increase resiliency and encourage our youth to do better. Let's wrap up part 3 on a more positive note, because mental health should not always be viewed as something negative. We all have mental health. We all have positive mental health. Positive mental health allows children, adolescents, and adults to realize their full potential in life and how to reach their goals. Supporting each other to be mentally healthy helps all of that. It also helps to cope with stressors in life faced at home, at school, and in relationships. We work productively and manage daily life activities through positive mental health and wellness. When we feel good about ourselves and what we do, we feel good about everything around us. Make meaningful contributions to our community through various outlets, such as volunteering, also as part of mental health and wellness. We help others in need when we are mentally healthy and well. We should encourage peer support and discourage bullying in any form. And finally, we feel good about ourselves, they feel good about themselves, and this is including social, emotional, and physical areas when we promote positive mental health and wellness. Remember, mental health intersects with all aspects of our lives. In conclusion, a child's mental health is just as important as their physical health and deserves the same quality of support, as stated by Kate Middleton. Thank you for taking the time to participate in this mental health awareness training. Please complete the final questions for part 3 and have a great day.